October 31st, 2016, Monday of the 31st week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians. Brothers and sisters, if there is any encouragement in Christ, any solace in love, any participation in the Spirit, any compassion and mercy, complete my joy by being of the same mind, with the same love, united in heart, thinking one thing. Do nothing out of selfishness or out of vainglory. Rather, humbly regard others as more important than yourselves, each looking out not for his own interests, but also everyone for those of others. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, In you, O Lord, I have found my peace. O Lord, my heart is not proud, nor are my eyes haughty. I busy not myself with great things, nor with things too sublime for me. In you, O Lord, I have found my peace. Nay, rather, I have stilled and quieted my soul like a weaned child. Like a weaned child on its mother's lap, so is my soul within me. In you, O Lord, I have found my peace. O Israel, hope in the Lord, both now and forever. In you, O Lord, I have found my peace.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. On a Sabbath, Jesus went to dine at the home of one of the leading Pharisees. He said to the host who invited him, When you hold a lunch or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or sisters, or your relatives or your wealthy neighbors, in case they might invite you back and you have repayment. Rather, when you hold a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind. Blessed indeed will you be because of their inability to repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. The Gospel of the Lord.
October 31st, Monday of the 31st week in Ordinary Time. The first reading comes from Paul's letter to the Philippians, chapter 2, verses 1 to 4. In this passage, we hear Paul encourage the community to live as one, to serve each other out of selflessness and not out of vainglory. He's calling for the community to live in humility, to view other people as more important than themselves. And he'll continue this idea when he gives the example of Jesus in his beautiful hymn, which talks about how Jesus emptied himself of his divinity to become like a slave, to serve us. And that's what we're called to do, to empty ourselves. A lot of times in the world, that looks like we're becoming weaker, as if we're surrendering. But the truth is that the love of God is most fully expressed when we surrender, when we view others as having been created by God and therefore worthy of great dignity. We don't worry about what we want or what we need, but rather about what the other needs. The Gospel is from Luke 14:12 to 14. And it continues that idea of service, that when you invite people to a dinner, don't invite those who are rich, those who are fun. Invite those who need it, the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind. Remember, this is the Gospel of Luke, where Jesus reaches out to the Anawim. The Anawim are the poor ones of Yahweh. They're the ones who most need his intervention, because they are the most lost. They realize that, but for the grace of God, they're not going to make it. So when Jesus comes into the world, they are the very first to whom he addresses his message of salvation. We certainly see that with the scene of the birth of Jesus, and the shepherds are the first one to show up at the crib. We shouldn't worry about being paid back. The greatest joy that God has ever given us is the ability to give of ourselves as God gives of himself. Therefore, the reward for this service is not something we receive, but rather the ability to serve. That is already the reward, because in serving others, we are truly in the image and likeness of God, the God who created us so that he could have someone to love, the God who sent his only Son to die on the cross out of love for us. And may God bless us.